seriously laugh at those things because we know they are possible. There's going to be so many neat, creative things that happen in your life that you thought were impossible, and you're going to be blown a bit away whenever they absolutely aren't. And it's going to change your perspective. And I feel like that's where I have gotten, where just my perspective has changed so much.
Hello, and welcome to Healing Trauma Mamas. I'm your host, Madon Wingo. Thank you for joining us as we share in our stories and experiences of healing from childhood traumas and birth traumas. Listen as we discuss our struggles, our failures, our strengths, and our victories, and all those lessons we've learned along the way.
Why, hello, Healing Trauma Mamas. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you decided to join us today, and I'm really thankful to come back on. I really thought we were going to get back to doing quite a bit more podcasts in 2025. We didn't do as much as I thought, though. We still had quite a lot of podcasts, and I'm really thankful for them. I always like to dream big and think of all these things that I want to do, and there is just time to do those things has to be fit into a schedule, and so I don't always get all the things in that I would like to get in. I got lots of ideas and stuff, and I'm still keeping all track of all those ideas, and I am really thankful that I am getting back in the podcast booth or studio area. That this is a new studio area. I think I said that last time, and I'm really excited about that. And I just this week have been doing several different recordings with some amazing moms sharing their birth stories and their journey through life. And I'm really excited to get to bring all of those to you. So I thought I would start out the year by coming on just for me to come talk to you a little bit and to kind of give an update on what's been going on in my life and the things coming up, what I've been reading lately, and some things that have happened lately. So I thought I'd just give a brief catch up. So we've done lots of things. 2025 had a lot in it. Lots of mamas and babies and lots of miles and lots of fun being a midwife and a mom and just really enjoying life and just being so thankful each day for the opportunity to enjoy creation and enjoy this walk that I get to have. And I'm tremendously thankful and I don't take it lightly. The fun that I get to have. I'll share a little fun. For my husband's birthday, we both decided, well, he decided that he wanted to lose some weight. And I agreed and thought that I wanted to as well. So I agreed with him and thought, hey, let's do this thing together because we know you'll be more successful when you team up. And so we decided to do the carnivore diet for a little while and to do some walking together and a few other things. And so we thought I had to share, how fun is it to be able to enjoy a diet of all the things that I used to be deadly allergic to? I just have to say, like, how fun. I couldn't help but laughing every time I was going to go eat a steak or every time I was going to have some heavy cream with my coffee or just eating all the wonderful, yummy, delicious things and roast and I keep thinking of all the beef stuff because it was so fun to have brisket and all those things, all the wonderful, yummy foods that we have, and to really nourish my body with those things. And to think that just a few years ago, I was deathly allergic to those items. I mean, that's just kind of, it blows your mind a little bit, and it just makes me just so tremendously thankful. And how fun to get to do that. Seriously, it was a blast to get to able to do that. So that was fun. We were successful in that and really enjoyed just feeling better and it was a really good time. So that's one thing that's happened this year. Another thing that happened this fall specifically was I got to go speak at a women's retreat. So it was a mother-daughter retreat at Camp Buttman, and I thoroughly enjoyed getting to go and prepare for that. It was just such a beautiful time to get to share about walking in your true identity and the joy of that, and really get to share some of the amazing truths that I have learned in the last few years and speak into some moms and their daughters, just really so much about identity. And when you are fully walking in your true identity without lies, without all this added extra in your head, but just enjoying the freedom of being who you were created to be. And as moms, when we get to do that, then we are showing our daughters that they are empowered to do the same thing, to walk in that freedom and to enjoy life. And I just, it was so uplifting to me. It was the most I've ever spoken at an event, though. And so that was a little challenging, just preparing and just getting my mind wrapped around how long I was going to speak and what that was going to look like. And of course, man, the words were all just there. And I was just so thankful I was able to speak so calmly. And it just was beautiful. It was such a great time. And I'm just tremendously thankful for what that looked like. I also thoroughly enjoyed some of the activities that they had that we got to do. One was so much fun where we ended up doing some different mirror activities because we were talking about, as in a mirror and that reflection, and how when we are walking in truth and we have this beautiful reflection of our creator in us, and when we're walking in lies, and that reflection is not there and we're not able to see ourselves clearly. And that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And all my daughters got to come for one of the nights at least. One of them had to work, and my mom was able to come with me. And that was such a joy. I truly enjoyed the time that I was able to spend and all the women that I got to speak with and new relationships that I was able to form. And it was really neat. One of the sweetest moments I felt like from that weekend was they call it their prayer walk, and it's a night prayer walk, and they would have everybody be mostly silent, and we would just have little prompts occasionally on this night walk that we did, a kind of a night hike up on top of the hill, where they have an area that you can worship, and you can have they have like wooden pews there and an area for somebody to speak. And as we walked up that rocky trail in the dark, it was just like God was just showing off his beautiful creation and the stars. And it was just the vastness of it was just so radiant, even though it was in the dark. And it was a beautiful time of just quiet and listening, and then being able to speak into our daughters. And then it was so neat because I got to preach, speak from that point up top. And instead of turning lights on me while I was talking to the audience of the moms and the daughters, it was so neat because I just decided in the moment that I'm not even going to turn on the light up here. And instead, we got to be in dark, and we had the stars, and it was so vast, and it was just so open, not a cloud in the sky, and the stars were just so bright and beautiful, and the moon. And to just speak truth about all the things that I have learned and about all the miracles that I have seen performed, and my expectation of so many more to come, and how anytime somebody says something's impossible, that I just laugh anymore because we know my experience has shown the impossible is not impossible. Like, I was cured of incurable disease. I've seen a baby raised from the dead. I've seen, legs that were broken, healed. And so many things happened that seemed impossible, yet they absolutely were not. And so I just love that because I think that just it brings the bar up each time. The bar gets raised higher and higher because you're like, wait, I thought this was impossible, but this amazing thing happened. So it was neat to be up there and get to share some of those experiences in my life about quote unquote impossible things that were possible and to help give you expectation of like, seriously laugh at those things because we know they are possible. There's going to be so many neat creative things that happen in your life that you thought were impossible, and you're going to be blown a bit away whenever they absolutely aren't. And it's going to change your perspective. And I feel like that's where I have gotten where just my perspective has changed so much about my expectations and about who I am and about who my creator is and what my life looks like and all of that. And it's just been such a beautiful time. And I've been reflecting a lot on that journey and getting to go and meet all those wonderful moms and daughters. So that was something that happened in the fall. That was beautiful, along with a bunch of births as well. Um, there's also been something else that's been happening, and we're going to have another podcast episode where we're going to talk more about this. But I've actually been filmed numerous times and interviewed and done some filming in our house as well as at prenatals and some appointments for a documentary all about midwifery care and out of hospital birth. And I'm so excited for this project. I learned about it. It was just in the idea stage last year around this time, and got to meet the filmmaker and really get to know him and know his heart and know why he's doing what he's doing. And then really got to unknowingly get to be a big part of this project. I didn't know what was happening with this thing in the beginning. I just knew I wanted to try to support it as best I can and try to help connect dots wherever I could. And so it ended up being so neat that two of the births of my clients ended up being filmed for the documentary. One of the clients ended up being kind of the major story going through the documentary. And she's going to come on the podcast later, and you'll get to hear Hannah's story. And it's so beautiful. I'm really excited for her to share with you. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this documentary. It's still in the stages of we're all done with all the filming, but they've got to do the post-production stuff and editing and putting it all together and making this beautiful story be told, and then working on getting it in everybody's hands. So we're still working on funding for that, and he's working on getting all of that done. So if you want to help contribute to that project, please, in the show notes, I'll have a link. Or if you have questions about that project, please come talk to me. I would love to share or connect you with the filmmaker if you've got questions. I just, I was laughing because I thought, boy, I never thought that I would be on this documentary about midwifery. And then my daughter was like, Mom, this is not the first documentary you've been on. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. So I had a little, I was a birth assistant for a small independent documentary that was done with another midwife in the area at the time, Sabrina Elliott. She was on this beautiful short documentary that was called The Country Midwife, and it was really neat. And I was able to be the birth assistant for her at one of those. And then I was also on a documentary that I honestly tried to find recently because somebody asked me more information about it, and I can't seem to find it online. But it was a documentary about just like how we are to treat each other and how we are to encourage other women. If I'm for babies and I'm for life and I'm for um, community, that as a mom and as a midwife, like how do I respond to other women that have differing opinions, and how do I encourage them and love them? And I really wanted to find that so maybe I could share a clip from that documentary, but I honestly haven't been able to find it yet. So I guess this is the third one technically, but I feel like this has been the one that I have been the most passionate about and been the most involved in helping it kind of take place and the storyline and all of the things. And so what a fun thing to get to do. I did not know that was going to be a major part of the year 2025. for me. I didn't know that this year that my husband was going to be able to leave his career that he'd been in for about 10 years and be able to start working for himself and go into a completely different field. Like, that's amazing. And it was just such a beautiful thing for our family. And it has helped just us grow together better and get to have more time together and build relationships. And I'm just, yeah, so full of thankfulness for all of that. So that's some of the things that come up. I'm always like wanting to read some new books for the year, although really I listen on Audible a lot. But sometimes I listen to a book on Audible and I need to physically hold that book. So that is the way I was with Living Fearless. Like, that is one of my favorite books, and I have to have it because I'm a highlighter. So I needed to go through and highlight all the different things that I just love in there. And then when I got the Mirror Bible app and I was reading through it, I was like, oh, I need to have this in my hands so that I can highlight and I can open it up and take it with me places. And so those are two of the books from this year. But then I read another one that I want to share with you, and it's called The Courage to Be Disliked. And apparently it was a big seller. I had not heard of it before, but somebody had recommended it to me, and I decided to go listen to it. And I was thoroughly impressed with what I heard. And it wasn't that it was some extravagant and deep, you know, dissertation of the human body and how our minds work and all of that. That's it's not what it was, even though it really is about like philosophy and psychology involved in it. It was really simple, and I love it because so much of it are the things that we have been talking about on Healing Trauma Mamas. I mean, one of the things that he points out is he talks about trauma, and he talks about how you have the opportunity to either stay in that trauma mindset and stay in those hurts and harms from the past, or in the next moment, you can decide to walk out of it. And you can decide that you're not going to allow it to affect you anymore, and that you have that power inside of you to be able to do that. And I thought that was obviously along the lines of things that we have been talking on the podcast, but I think that truly just lines up with so much that we know about ourselves and about our authority we have over our body and our mind and walking in truth. And, our traumas and the things that are from our past, they are part of our journey. And I'm not discrediting the fact that they are part of our journey, but they are not who we are, and they are not where we are going. And so we leave those behind and we press forward. We go into new things, and we get to step out of those old things and walk into the new. So I was so excited. And I had to get this book physically as well. I'm holding it in my hands now for those listening. And I needed to get my highlighter out, and I needed to start going through it and really just highlighting some different points. But one of the main points is about trauma and how we can walk out of it. One of the other main points, and I love this one, and it has really, like, I think about it often. And it's kind of funny because the terminology is the word tasks. Is that your task, or is that somebody else's task? And it's interesting because I just got this. You've probably seen these electronic calendars that you can put on the wall, and then it can sync up with your calendar on your phone. And so the whole family can all be on the same page. So I just got this set up for our family. And what I love about it is because I've had this word tasks on my mind from reading The Courage to Be Disliked. And in it, when you are doing your child's, it's not um we've always said responsibilities in our house, but they list it as tasks for people in the house. And I thought that was so perfect to go along with what I have been thinking about tasks. So what he talks about here, and I will butcher the two authors' names in this. It's Hiroshio Kishimi, I think I've said his name before, but I can't do it. And Fumitaki Kogo. I'm sure I butchered that, but
the premise of the book, and then I'll get back to tasks. I didn't task that, but the premise of the book is a young man who is seeking wisdom, and he comes to talk to a philosopher. And it's kind of along the lines of like what you would have found like in Socrates' days, where young youth would come hang around with the philosophers, and they would, be talking about the secret of life or the, different things about, just lines of thought for human beings to just really kind of get outside themselves. So the premise is this young man is coming and seeking wisdom from this philosopher off in who knows where, and he comes and he wants to have a conversation with him, and he's frustrated. He's frustrated with his life. He's frustrated with the things that he thinks he can't control, and he's frustrated with so many things going on, and he wants to discuss, and his belief is that people can just be horribly unhappy, and that life is hard, and that we don't get to enjoy life. And this is his premise. And he comes to the philosopher to just be like, you can't tell me any different. Like, I see that life is just hard, and there are horrible things, and we don't get to experience joy, or some people get to experience joy, but other people don't get to experience joy. And some people just get handed an awful lot in life, and other people just get a silver spoon and never experience hard things. And he's talking about those disparities and talking to this philosopher about, you know, basically his belief in this type of world system that has been set up, basically. And I love the conversation. It's a back and forth between the two. And for one, it's a really great line of how to have good, healthy discourse with people when you read the conversation back and forth. I love that. Just being able to have healthy discourse, healthy conversation back and forth, even when you disagree about something, and being able to work through those disagreements and that conversation. And then he starts going point by point through the different things that the young man is coming to talk about. And basically he says, you just lack courage in your life. That's the final thing. Like, you have the courage, you just need courage to step out from your traumas and go forward, to step into joy and no longer allow somebody else to try to bring you down. One of the things he says is basically, it's not your task. So it's called the delegation of tasks. It's not your task to know what somebody thinks about you. It's not your tasks to determine how somebody is going to interpret what you said. Those are not your tasks. And so it was really neat to think this line of thought, like, the delegation of task. Is that my task? So when you stop and you start thinking about, well, are they mad at me? Or did they understand me? Did they misinterpret what I said? That's not your task. Your task is to speak in truth and love and compassion and be who you were created to be. And how somebody interprets that, how somebody feels about you doing that, that is their task. That is not yours. And whether or not you choose to get offended about something, that is your task. That's not somebody else's. I can't put that on somebody else. Well, they offended me. No, I chose to be offended. It's a really neat way to switch some of these dynamics and lines of thought that we have had in our language and in conversation and in our cultural all the time. So that is two of the big things. The one, letting trauma be behind us and walking forward and stepping out of it. It doesn't have to still exist. And then delegating tasks. Those are two of the big things. And deciding to walk in joy. Like, it is a decision. And in the sequel book, The Courage to Be Happy, I listened to that book as well. And I loved at the end, 'cause it was like, what are we to do? We are to love. That is what we are to do. To love people, and to truly like take care of other people. And he talks so much in this book about all problems can be boiled down to interpersonal relationship problems. And wow, if that is not the truth, every issue that we have is having to do with relationships, whether it's my relationship with somebody else or my relationship with myself. And you can break down every single problem to that, to the interpersonal relationship problems. So when you stop and you simplify it, I mean, it really does make the world simpler for you and make your life simpler. Like you can just choose joy. You literally can decide to leave that trauma behind you and walk forward. You can decide not to be offended over here. That's not, I mean, it's my task whether or not I'm going to or whether I'm going to receive what they said to me. And it's also, you get the choice of who's in your life and who's not in your life. And we have these kind of like large statements that we will make sometimes, and that's what the youth made in this book several times was like, well, my so and so, my friend, he can't leave his house. He can't do these things. He can't work. And he would these absolute statements, but they weren't truth. They weren't truth at all. Because he was like, no, he can, but he's making choices not to. And we can try to box that in and make it feel like, well, it's just impossible, but it absolutely is possible. You have to, though, step and make the decision to go forward. So that's where we get into the mind and what the mind is saying. What do you believe you can or can't do? Because your belief is the most important thing in that moment. If you believe you can move forward, you believe you can step out, you believe you can be healed from these things, you can be a joyful person, you can have an amazing life. That belief is so important. It's like the most integral part of your mind is your belief in who you are, what you can do, and how you can move forward. So I want to encourage you. I loved this book. I thought it was great. It's not from any type of a religious perspective or anything like that. And it was absolutely beautiful. I loved it. The youth did point out a few times that like some of what you're saying sounds to me like some religion things because you're talking about just walking in love and you're talking about, walking in harmony with other people because I'm choosing not to be offended and I'm choosing not to get angry about that thing because it is a choice. And I thought that was beautiful that he pointed those things out, but he didn't like specifically say that it's any type of religious belief. It's just us as human beings. How are we to live? So I encourage you to go look at the book. They have great audio that you go listen to, or you can get this book yourself. I'm not making any money off of this book sales or anything like that. I found it very encouraging. And I loved because what I saw so much all over it. Like you've heard me talk on here about just really walking in the kingdom, walking in our creation with the authority that we have as human beings. And I feel like that was all over this book as well. And I think if you took the time to read it, you would get some really wonderful insights as well. And yeah, so that was the big read I did towards the end of the year that just really stuck with me, and I really wanted to come on here and share with you all. I've got lots of new things coming up for 2026. Really working on getting the podcast uh, being more consistent on recording. I've hired a virtual assistant who's really helping me get some of these things done in a more efficient manner. And so I'm really thankful for that because as a former client and friend just pointed out to me today, she sent me a reel and she said, it just made me think about you as a midwife, how many hats you wear just in the role as midwife because we're counselor and we're clinician, but then we're also maybe rubbing someone's
back. It's like a massage therapist. And then we're also playing with the children sometimes. And then we're also cooking food and cleaning up and doing so many things and typing and writing. And as a business owner, you've got all your things. And so it was really neat that she was pointing out, like, there's so many hats that you guys wear. And I was laughing because I was like, yeah, that's a few of them. Because then when you also think about as a mom and a wife, and then just as a human, a female walking in this kingdom, there's so many things that we have to do. And it's awesome, I think, because it's kind of fun, I feel like, to have a running list of all these different things I want to do because it's just so much to look forward to every day. Enjoying my family, enjoying the time with the children and the animals we have here at our little farm that we're kind of growing, and being able to enjoy time with other midwives and amazing, beautiful women that I get to meet all the time and have beautiful conversations with. I mean, life is such a joy, and we are intended to enjoy this life. And I just want to encourage you, walk in it, walk in the joy that you get to have, walk in the freedom of knowing that you get to step forward in each second, each thought. You get to step in newness and step away from things that may have been holding you down in the past and step forward into new, beautiful life. So here's to 2026. I'm looking forward to what all it has in store. Looking forward to sharing so many amazing women's journeys with you, and looking forward to seeing what new things come about. I hope everyone has started off the year wonderfully, and I'll talk to y'all next time.
Thank you for listening. May you be encouraged and strengthened by what you've heard today. Remember, you are dearly loved by your Creator, so be who He created you to be. May you go in peace, friends. Till next time, Shalom.